a lot of peace training curricula already exist, but where are the gaps? What is missing? Is there a kind of standard to the peace training and other organizations? And today we have a podium's discussion about is mediation an appropriate tool for peace training? It looks like mediation is not only for lawyers and for the psychosocial world, but for a more big arena also. And the European Union somehow wants to participate in keeping peace more and is financing also peace projects in the last years. And one of them is this PeaceTraining EU.
In our courses in mediation, the problem once in a while that we in Austria live in peace, and it's nice to live here, and it's not dangerous, and so we make mediation, and we call it sometimes it's a little bit like a luxury work what we do, because around us in the Middle East and Africa and in Asia and so on, there are lots of terrible wars going on with many people being killed.
But what is the danger of having specialists? It seems like NGOs, they have to specialize in order to mediate. Otherwise, they keep out of these social problems. Is this the aftermath of too many mediation courses? Does peace building need more than experts?
There's great mediation training workshops being done all around the world. The issue, as you brought up before, is that they want the training, they want to be mediators or conflict practitioners, but they don't want to get involved with the conflicts themselves. It's kind of a hands-on. I had a colleague that he wrote all kinds of books, he still does, by the way, on how to resolve conflicts, how to do mediation. But when you put him in a situation where he's in a conflict area, he puckers up. He wants to curl up in a ball and
expert mediators. I was in charge of peace building programs and recruiting international staff. It was not easy to get good people. And in one or the other case, probably even more than the other case, it happened to me that I got a mediator who was actually a good mediator, but he was lacking in a broader political understanding, in a broader social economical understanding, in a broader background in peace theories, etc. and those things. And if I would have the chance to change, I think I would have actually taken the person with more the broader understanding of social, political and economical realities. I think I would have been done for that person. And at the end, common sense.
It has to be a good tool, as I said during my statement. It's not only to bring technical skills to the local people. It is much more. So I was posted in Mostar in 1996, which means short after the war. And as you know, Mostar was a place actually with a very good ethical mixture. There was a very good understanding between the different groups, and it fell apart during the entire war. So actually, when we came in 1996, we found a police which was completely split. In the eastern part and the western part, there were no Serbs anymore. they escaped. So it was only two groups remaining, and they didn't talk to each other. Which means that there was no exchange when it came to fight against crime, to fight against organized crime. Organized crime was already networked again, so we were already cooperating from the very beginning. But the point is, we need actually, I think, 1 or 2 years just to get the trust of our local counterparts, and which is much more important that these people got the trust among themselves. This was the point, because we were fighting on different sides. And
what need the peacemaker or peace builder in training? What do we need? Well, I tell very concrete about myself. Yes, we organize the discussion groups, the dialogue groups. It's a mediation, but it is not only mediation. What else? What another thing? It's very important. As we prepare our meetings, there were in these 4 years about 14 where I was in team. We organized. We prepare and we think how to protect the people. They come from other parts of war. You understand what is the situation of these people? Yes, in war. It's how to protect, how to understand the needs of these people. It means that we need to understand very well how to manage a social project. We organize the dialogues group, and our people after the meetings go in the societies, in all of the group of societies, and make some project, some little or big project of different meetings too. We multiplicate these ideas of peace in this social project. It means that we need to give good knowledge in social project management, and we need to understand how to support the people in the situation with trauma. But it is another work than the psychotherapist work, because we have a very big group. Nowadays we have a group of 50. And it is not possible to make some therapy work. It's another work, it's to support. And I think that in these 50, about 35 people is with war trauma. It's a very difficult situation in the group, you understand, yes? What is? It is my concrete opinion about a subject of peace education. In the situation as you work in war,
Yeah, this is very clear.
It seems like this is more a natural situation when you go in conflicts.
natural situation, usual situation.
Isn't it?
It's this war situation, it's natural situation. I don't know.
Natural
When you
disaster.
go in,
yes.
when you go in on mission, you don't go in a peaceful situation, isn't it?
Exactly, it's true. There are risks involved, and this is why there are risks involved, and a man should be prepared to have risk management. I mean, how to understand, to forecast before, or it's armed conflict, then you are going into a risk zone, and this is why we need risk management. First, we have to analyze those risks and which impact they have on our mission, and how can we mitigate those risks. whether technically or through communication, through outreach programs and so on and so on. And exactly, and this is
you said mediation is an important part because problems pop up all the time, understood, right? So it is a good tool, one of many. No?
It has to be a good tool. As I said during my statement, it's not only to bring technical skills to the local people. It is much more. So I was posted in Mostar in 1996, which means short after the war. And as you know, Mostar was a place actually with a very good ethical mixture. There was a very good understanding between the different groups, and it fell apart during the entire war. So actually, when we came in 1996, we found a police which was completely split. In the eastern part and the western part, there were no Serbs anymore. They escaped. So it was only two groups remaining, and they didn't talk to each other. Which means that there was no exchange when it came to fight against crime, to fight against organized crime. Organized crime was already networked again, so we were already cooperating from the very beginning. But the point is, we need actually, I think, 1 or 2 years just to get the trust of our local counterparts, and it's much more important that these people got the trust among themselves. This was the point, because they were fighting on different sides. They knew who was killing who during the war, so we are talking a really bad time during this period. And that's why I think that for peace builder, I call it always soft skills are very important actually to succeed in this kind of missions or operations. It's easy to teach someone technical issues, how they can resolve a crime or how to take care about traffic accidents. That's not the problem. But the point is to build trust again and to come from the point of a respective police force to a community-orientated police service. That's the environment.
And your statement is that mediation is helping.
Yes.
But doesn't it need many more steps before? You can talk, you can get somebody to listen.
I mean, first of all, you have to listen. That's quite clear. I mean, you have to be aware of the conflict. You have to listen to the conflict, to just have really to listen and not to take any sides, which is actually very difficult because I was in Mostar for 3 years. And I was going from one side to another side. And at the end of the day, I didn't know anymore who was wrong and who was right. I didn't know it. Everyone had his good reason, but it's very difficult. So listening, of course, is the first step. And then you have to build a bond with mediation and all the other soft skills. But that's in every conflict, even if a family dispute. You have to listen first.
Okay. So, I mean, in order to make sure that mediation is effective and has a good impact, there are several points to consider. First point is SME, being subject matter expertise. So if you, going to solve a political problem, it's very important to understand the background of both sides, whether it's between two countries or two teams. It's very important to understand the political background of the two countries. Number two, it's very important to understand the cultural background of both sides. It's very important. The second step, I would see communication skills are a very essential element in effective mediation, because if a mediator does not have the proper communication skills, he won't be able to deliver the message, because communication is a message transmitted from one party to another party, and communication has sometimes challenges, be it the language barrier, being the environment surrounding you, being is the other party is not willing to listen. Okay, so it's very important to have the proper communication skills to be able to communicate and transmit the proper message to reach your desired goal. Otherwise, you are ending in deadlock. And convey also part of the communication skills is try to achieve a win-win scenario, because also I think one of the required skills for good mediation is change management, because people when they see somebody is approaching them and trying to mediate with them, then he is requiring a kind of change, and people are afraid of change, and they are resistant to change. So if the mediator did not have this in mind and did not implement the proper change management methodology to address their worries, their concerns, give them assurances, he won't be able to achieve his goal. So these are very important communication skills, change management skills, and also crisis management. Because when you are going to a country, or you are going into a hot zone, and you are going to start a mediation, then you should expect that there is a crisis that may arise. So how do I tackle this crisis? How do I be prepared for the crisis management? How to manage and contain this crisis? How do I mitigate the risks involved with it? So if I don't have, if the mediator, I'm not a mediator, but if the mediator does not have the proper crisis management tools and skills, the mediation can turn worse.
I would like to support what Mr. Hubecker just said, that it took you 2 years or more maybe to get the people ready, so to say, to start the mediation, the actual mediation. Phrase of making people ready for the table. And in all the fields I worked, it was always the crucial thing. It was the crucial thing with neighbors to pursue them, that it makes sense for them, that in a very everyday life situation. In the Philippines, my time was too short to really get to the process of where mediation could start. So it was also the preparation of that. And in South Africa, where I observed, it took most of the time for the people to think about the problem and how does it make sense to go this way or that way, and so I would like to stress maybe also for training and actually mediation processes, that the pre-phase gets some much more attention.
I definitely agree with you. That's why if you look to Kosovo, and if you look to the UNMIK, which was serving before the EU, when UNMIK left the place, actually the people were pretty happy that the EU is coming in. Nowadays, they are happy when the EU is leaving. And it happened exactly what you said, that there's a lot of expectations which we can't fulfill. We as a peace builder, as a person, we just have to see us as a very, very small wheel in a huge system. And if we can manage it, let's say, to make a few people happy in our small surrounding, in our small universe, then I think we succeeded when we are going back home. We can't change the system. That's simply life. I mean, it is in all other countries actually the same. maybe to a much more extent, maybe a bit less, but that's simply life. We can't change the system, we can't change the society, but what we can do is to create our small universe and actually to get the trust of those people with who we are working.
I fully agree.
The values which we have are the correct ones. Are we right? That's the point. Are we talking about local ownership? Did we ask the local population what do they actually want? I mean, I did read a lot of literature when I wrote my master thesis about police reform and local ownership. I found a lot of literature assessing the internationals themselves. Actually, all of them did a good job. I never found literature and research on how actually did the local population see their international counterpart.
Peace studies as well.
But you know my point.
Yeah.
As a police officer, who asked the local one how he did actually at the end of the day his international counterpart? What did he expect?
I think that mediation goes even deeper, not only for peace building. Okay, that's when we come in once the damage has been done. And then we need all the skills you mentioned. I agree completely. I'd add one more, and that is soothing the pain and dealing with all the trauma that we face. But the other part would be, how can we teach people to be active in their societies to keep the peace before even any conflict explodes and escalates to that point? And I think the most challenging part of it is, how do we get those people who might be partners or contraends in a conflict to tell us so we can listen to them? All the big ears are wonderful, but if nobody's telling us anything, there's nothing we can do. So just for an additional point, I would like to add that there has been a Czechoslovak, or Czech actually, author way back, more than 100 years ago, Jaroslav Hašek, who wrote about the brave soldier Švejk.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been listening to you with the greatest interest, actually. I'm a lawyer specialized in cross-border issues. Now, this has taken me to, among many places, on an OECD mission to Estonia, in Tallinn. It has taken me to Kosovo in the frame of an EU mission. And it has taken me with several third-party means to Moscow since Perestroika. You have been talking, and we are thinking also about what do we need actually as a mediator, and what are we facing once we are getting engaged in certain projects. Now, what I noticed, and I'm pretty sure that you would share these experiences with me, is that once we're on the spot, we face societies with no infrastructure. Nothing is working. Government promises whatever to be voted, actually, to win, but nothing is actually changing. I've been talking in Kosovo with a whole couple of police representatives. They were actually living in the same hotel as I did. And they said the issue is that how to how to gain trust in society, and actually you confirm that we need time, a lot of time. But how can you construct trust if society, the government, is simply not working? The money will not arrive there where it is needed. People, and also us, will not use the word experts, but those who are on a mission, what we can see is that some part of society that are involved in big business or were nominated to judges of appeal courts and Supreme Courts, they live in, well, under circumstances when what even we would say very well off, in a secured area, far away from society, far away from those people we actually wish to contact, we actually wish to work with. Believe me, that when I hear this is the wrong word. Why should they believe us? Why should they trust us? They don't even know us. What they see is a society which is not working. It's as simple as that. You can have everything for money and with connections, with the right connection.
I definitely agree with you. That's why if you look to Kosovo, and if you look to the UNMIK, which was serving before the EU, when UNMIK left the place, actually the people were pretty happy that the EU is coming in. Nowadays, they are happy when the EU is leaving. And it happened exactly what you said. That there's a lot of expectations which we can't fulfill. We as a peace builder, as a person, we just have to see us as a very, very small wheel in a huge system. And if we can manage it, let's say, to make a few people happy in our small surrounding, in our small universe, then I think we succeeded when we are going back home. We can't change the system. That's simply life. I mean, it is in all other countries actually the same. Maybe to a much more extent, maybe a bit less, but that's simply life. We can't change the system. We can't change the society. But what we can do is to create our small universe and actually to get the trust of those people with who we are working.
Mm-hmm. I fully agree.
And I think we have to go even a bit deeper, because we are living in a world that is mainly about winning. And if you just observe the soccer world championships in Russia now, it's all about winning. They are not embracing each other and having a great time on the field, but each one wants to score. And if you look at our economy or our social systems, it's all about winning. So I completely agree with the point that we only have a chance in mediation after the various components of the conflict have realized we cannot win it. We have to buy into a conflict settlement or a resolution system somehow.
And we need to understand how to support the people in the situation with trauma. But it is another work than the psychotherapist work, because we have a very big group. Nowadays we have a group of 50, and it is not possible to make some therapy work. It's another work, it's to support. And I think that in these 50, about 35 people with war trauma. It's a very difficult situation in the group, you understand, yes? What is? It is my concrete opinion about the subject of peace education. In the situation as you work in war,
I think it boils down to being, as you said earlier, about being modest, and I think it's modesty and honesty. And those that are going out there to resolve or to try to mediate, first of all, we don't know everything. And it's not just normally one person anyway, it's a team of people that go out there, that you bring the right people forward that knows the different skill sets with you, and you work in a team environment normally in order to try to build a trust over a long period of time, so you can get to a point where you can start to do real mediation. The issue we have is that mediation we think is a one-time deal. All right, we mediated, we signed the deal, my job's done. And that's because there's not a lot of ownership after that. There's not a lot of work after that point. Because just because you signed a piece of paper or you made an agreement doesn't mean that the process is over by a long shot. But we forget about that extra part. I don't say we as a mediator, but we're a part of that process as well. But those that are working, we're working for them and working for us, there's a time limit. It's like an expiration date. Everybody wants to get something done in a certain, not matter of months or days or years, because whether it's a donor, a fundraiser, or the case may be, so you end up doing worse by doing the agreements of mediation than by being more long-term in how you look and you want to try to approach the situation. So I don't know whether that answers your question, but certainly that's something we need to look at. And this idea of bringing people to the table, first of all, the situation has to be ripe for that to happen. So we talked about ripening earlier today. We can have a natural ripening when they're ready to mediate, or we can try to create that process where there's a moment of ripening in order to bring people together. But just because it may be a moment of ripening or we're ready to mediate doesn't mean we can get it all done in a short period of time. So we need all those tools. We need a combination of people with different skill sets. We need to look more long-term in this process instead of the short-term.
So the question is, provocatively put, how crazy must someone be to become a mediator, to qualify for our programs? Okay?
Even all these missions, whether we go there as a social worker, as a psychological counselor, or a mediator, or a negotiator, sometimes it may be a mission of all that, a mixture of all that. Aren't we all thinking of a solution-oriented mission? If that is so, if that is the case, would you share my opinion that we ought to recognize the issues that divide the people and divide them from us? Like, for example, religious issues as a part of culture, and to focus on the issues that do not polarize, but that unify, that make a solution-oriented focus possibly one day successful.
We have two different interests, and those are historical grown interests, I would say. If you look at the history of Europe, we had always some kind of coalitions. We had always some kinds of different interests. And I think it will remain in the future as well.
My own contribution, first of all, the question: how crazy must a person be before it begins to mediate in a very escalated situation? I believe the first is a combination of training and common sense which is not common anyway. That the person should understand that the people fighting at the front are not the people who are making the wars. And here you deploy shuttle mediation, where the stakeholders, the consultants behind the scene, you don't go to the front. That's my first approach. I'm coming to the last issue of individuals and their cultures. I come from Africa. Each time I attend a conference, I'm the only black in the midst of all. I don't shy, I don't go behind, I don't keep back my points. I try to present my points because I come from a background that is conflict in Africa. I'm a researcher in this direction. After doing my studies, I continued doing underground research. How can we identify the individual's free action in a conflict situation, independent of the group influence? Is that possible? It is a very teaching question because it is also a very important factor whenever we talk about conflicts. To be able to separate, is the individual really free in his action, or is he carrying the whole group behind him, his cultural background? And if yes, how can we separate before we talk of mediating? And the point you raised, working from different background parts of the globe, I think religion has a point to play, but in religion, we wouldn't talk of conflict resolution, we talk of reconciliation, which is deeper than resolution. So whenever we want to reconcile two people, we now talk about the rituals that is very important to them. Rituals in reconciliation, rituals in resolution. And the rituals, since we are beings that are carried by the symbols we use, those symbols play a very important role in reconciliatory acts between individuals and within groups. I was, as a young priest, I'm now an old priest, was involved in a conflict involving more than 500 people. It wasn't easy, but we came to a resolution, and it is still binding till today. A whole village was going to be burnt down. With the intervention, it was reconciled. So we go a step ahead, and I think mindset of a people play a very important role. We talked about in Vienna, I'm at the boundary between Czech and Austria, and I can feel what is not seen when I talk with the people. I can feel what is not seen. I celebrate Mass in this part of Austria. I have friends at the other part of the Czech Republic. I talk with them. As I said, I feel what is not seen. Somebody mentioned from the high table about crossing boundaries. Actually, crossing boundaries. And it's not a physical crossing, but a mental crossing. Crossing of boundaries. So I'm interested in the discussion, and I thank you for the contribution. I thank God that I'm able to be here in your midst to make my little contribution. Thank you.
I've got MBA from the University of Atlanta. You can hear me? Mm-hmm. Okay. I've worked in Abu Dhabi for almost 20 years as development manager and strategic communication as well as corporate communication expert. And I was involved in Abu Dhabi Vision 2030 to change the government from traditional government into modern and smart government, e-government, as you know, in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Actually, what brought me in to the peace training or peace building, I mean, I would say we do have, or myself, I do have a proactive approach. I always like to look at things from proactive approach as well as, or proactive perspective as well as positive perspective. So when I came here to Vienna in 2011, almost end of 2011, 2012, I have seen a lot of potentials as well as a lot of challenges ahead, not only in the front of me, but also in the front of a lot of people who are coming from Syria, from Iraq, and other places. Okay, uncertainty, unknown among the people here. They needed help. I was reading a lot of articles in the newspaper, you know. So some worries, you know, from the people, from newcomers here, misunderstanding between the people of the land, the Austrians, and the newcomers here. Then I said, well, those people, the newcomers, who are considered as an unknown, or some people call it a threat to the culture, to the identity. I mean, we hear a lot of words like European values, European culture, okay? And especially you can see it with the interpretation of the different interpretation of the body language, of the culture, values, and then that has led to misunderstanding many times. I mean, maybe a question that you've mentioned but has not been discussed. I would raise a question: how would our world look like if we do not have mediators? If crisis or war erupted and nobody is doing mediation, I think we are going to have catastrophic results. And this is why it's very important. The role of mediators is very important, and we need to know, I mean, the difference between learning and acquisitions. There are mediators who are talented, who are born as mediators with gifts and talents, and there are people who would learn mediation. And in both cases, very important to understand what are the techniques of mediation, whether you are a talented, born mediator, what would take you further to solve conflict, because a mediator, I would guess, is a very noble mission, a very noble job, and when a person does it right, he will achieve great results. So it's very important to get proper training, to get proper knowledge, and so on. So it's very important thing.
A lot of challenges, and I'm glad, Klaus, you mentioned Europe, because conflicts are not only over there, right? Sometimes with neighbors, I don't know what neighbors you have, and it gives hope that there's education, there is some kind of skills, perhaps not the right one, so the next generation can develop more. Isn't that nice? That the next generation can develop and change and things. And please keep on working. The world needs you, and us.
We just finished a workshop on mediation related to peace building, and actually the conclusion was or is that it's easy to deliver technical skills to a local organization, but it's very hard to deal with soft skills like mediation or other soft skills. So I think that we're running in a very exciting education and training. In my opinion, we had a really successful workshop.
It's a very nice conference. That many people come from many experiences all together, and also it's good to know the question regarding the peace building and the process and mediation. And probably my contribution for that conference is bring the Okinawan experience. It's already 60 years, 70 years of peace process against the American base, at the same time equal treatment by Japanese government, and we won't give up. That's my contribution.
The reason why I came here to Vienna is to be able to provide my experience, my knowledge on how to start to resolve conflicts through mediation and other processes, and to share that knowledge with all the knowledgeable people in the audience we had here today. So I think that it's important for us to meet in these kind of organizations, not just to share knowledge, but to know one another, because it's more through what we learn. It's what we learn through the process of interaction that makes us better peacemakers, whether we're going to be mediators, we're going to go out to the field and do social work, or whatever we're going to do. So again, it's great to be here, not only to share knowledge and information, but to network in order to build up a larger pool of knowledge between individuals and groups.
Ich habe für mich mitgenommen auch, dass sich bewahrheitet hat, was ich auch in meiner Ausbildung in der AG gelernt habe, in der Psychotraumatologie, dass eines der wichtigen Themen in der Mediation sicher diese Achtsamkeit und dieses Zuhören und dieses Ertragen von unterschiedlichen Szenarien, wo auch immer man auf dieser Welt arbeitet, ist. Dass man nie perfekt sein kann und nie diese ganzen Kulturen und Religionen alles verstehen kann, aber dass es oft nur darum geht, zuzuhören und ertragen zu können, was die Menschen auf der ganzen Welt mitgemacht haben in ihren Konflikten. Das ist zum Beispiel ein Kernbereich, den ich mitgenommen habe.
I'm glad that I was part of this afternoon evening session. Actually, what was my part? My part, I probably represent rather the peace building, conflict transformation section of mediation, the broader spectrum of peace building. And the nice thing for me was that mediation is one tool of the broader spectrum of peace building. I got a clearer picture and a deeper understanding of it now, and it was very nice to exchange on that particular topic of mediation this afternoon, this evening.
Im Moment bin ich eine der Peace-Builder. Das heißt, ich bin eine der Mitglieder des Teams, das facilitate dialogues between Russia and zwischen russischen und ukrainischen Leuten. Ich bin Russin, aber ich bin so oft in Ukraine einige Projekte seit 1991 gemacht. Und als der Krieg zwischen Osten und Westen Teil der Ukraine, in der Tatsache Russland ist ganz tief eingemischt, und ich habe beschlossen als Mediatorin, dass es ist eine Herausforderung für uns Mediatorinnen, weil der Krieg ist unser Objekt. Ja, das ist ein hocheskalierter Konflikt. Deswegen, es war für mich total interessant, von so einer internationalen Diskussion irgendwelche andere Gedanken zu hören, irgendwelche andere Konzepte der Peace-Bildung, Ausbildung und auch Praxis. Das war für mich sehr wichtig.
The conference today was a very important initiative because it tackles a lot of issues related to mediation and peace. Mediation is a very important tool to ensure that we have peace, there are no conflicts, and when there is a conflict, what is required to solve this conflict, which skills the mediator should have, what instrument he uses, what are the challenges ahead. The points raised in the conference were very important. We had rich ideas, good knowledge exchange with people.
So we had a big workshop here, and a lot of participants came, and actually many people were involved in this topic. I was a little bit surprised how many people do peace work already. From different angles, and got involved from different organizations. So it's not only the peace organizations that organize peace work, but a lot of little NGOs or personal engagement, it looks like, and also on the academic level. People go to other countries and help out and teach and get involved in conflict and sit in the middle of conflict and organize what we heard, organize situations where dialogue could perhaps start one of these days, or that the unheard voices get some kind of listener, perhaps only the foreigner. And I think that was a good result of today, that peace training is a long, long process, and there are many stages, and all of these stages are important. We talked a lot about this pre-mediation phase, that mediation skills are necessary, but only a little part. But if you come in that situation to negotiate, you need the skills immediately. You cannot wait and get others who come and help out with the skills, but you have to do it yourself immediately. I'm very content with this workshop. It is part of PeaceTraining EU, and in this PeaceTraining EU project, the platform is the main source, but the platform has to be known, and it looked like there was a big audience today who got acquainted with the platform, but also with the idea of peace training on many, many levels.